Welcome, Switched On crew. Dan here with today's signals around living in a spirit of adventure. With me is Trav Bell, the bucket list guy. He's an author, speaker, and more. A great quote from Trav in the episode: "What's easy to do is easy not to do." Come join us and enjoy the show. Welcome, everybody. Today we have Trav Bell with us. He's the #1 bucket list expert and founder of the Bucket List Coach, and he's also the author of the Bucket List Blueprint. He's on a mission to help 10 million bucket listers. I love the goal. Welcome, Trav. I'm excited to have you on the show today, and I'd love for you to give us a bit more background than the intro.
Yeah, Dan, super stoked to be on, mate. Thanks so much, and g'day everyone, as we say in Australia. G'day everyone who's watching and listening to the Switched On podcast here. Yeah, mate, I've been running around the world as the bucket list guy after someone called me the bucket list guy about 10 years ago. And so primarily as a speaker, a certified speaking professional, and as a coach, and now an author, which is kind of weird to call myself that after I put it off for so many years, but I had to, tick it off my bucket list. And also, founder and CEO of Bucket List Coaches. We've got certified bucket list coaches in 22 countries around the world now.
Wow.
Teaching this stuff, and it's really what this stuff is primarily positive psychology, helping people be happier. Positive psychology is essentially, the science of the psychology of happiness. So we've just, sort of put Bucket List as a brand over the top of it to make it more tangible. But essentially it's about helping people, and people really freaking need this right now, is helping people, experience more meaning, more purpose, and more fulfillment, more gratitude in their life. And that's what it's all about. So I've been sort of doing this for 10 years, and I think right now it's a perfect time for this message to get out there and help people kind of recalibrate on what that is for them to define what that is for them, to stop living by this default and live by design, stop just existing and start living. There is light at the end of this COVID tunnel.
Yeah.
I hope. And so, it's really has helped a lot of people recalibrate on what that is for them. So everyone's out there sort of defining what it is for them and their family right now.
Yeah, I do hope that we get on the other side of this very soon myself. It's a strange time to be fighting our way through. It's amazing.
Isn't it? It's crazy town.
Yeah, as I was getting familiar with your message and the platform you speak from, one of the things that I liked was this reframing of bucket list in my mind when you said bucket list is a tangible life plan. And I'd love to kind of talk us all through a little bit about that reframing, because I hadn't thought of bucket list that way just based on the movies I watched or the inputs.
Oh, look, I've done the TED Talk, which is, as you've watched, it's called Life's Too Short by me, Trav Bell. And in that, I introduced and unpacked a concept called the My Bucket List Blueprint, which is what the book is all about. And I say a bucket list is a tangible life plan where our career plan or our business plan should fit into our life plan and not be the other way around. So really what we're doing here is bringing home that work to live principle. I don't call it work-life balance. I call it work-life blend. And that's what everyone's trying to also define for themselves right now. What is my ideal work-life blend? But I think, it has helped so many people over the last 10 years. And I've built this, I kind of built this whole philosophy, I guess, to help the former me. I went through a bout of depression, albeit mild compared to what I've heard since. But I was in a pretty dark place myself. And so wanting more freedom, wanting to, have more happiness, fulfillment, meaning, purpose in my life, I kind of built this whole bucket list philosophy. And lo and behold, it was to help me initially, but then lo and behold, it's helped a lot of other people in the process as well. And really, I want to wake people up before they get given a use-by date. The Bucket List movie is shit because it's about, and I've based my whole career on it. It's shit because it's about two blokes that get given a cancer diagnosis and then they write their bucket list on the back of getting that use-by date. So that's just dumb. And unfortunately, a lot of people have to be, like the movie, they have to wait for something traumatic or dramatic to happen to them or a loved one for them to wake up and actually start experiencing their life. We're so busy on our daily to-do list that we forget about our bucket list until something goes wrong, right?
Yeah.
So, and don't think, oh, that's not me. Bullshit. It is you. Yeah. And we all do it. We have to wait for that level of pain to really kick in for us to reprioritize. We're so busy on our to-do list that, again, it's like this weird badge of honor that we carry around with us, on a day-to-day. But the thing is, we're so busy on our to-do list, but forget about our bucket list. And my whole thing is to help people not turn their world upside down, not like quit their day job and quit their business and go and travel around the world and be a digital nomad. But it's around choosing happiness. It's around choosing things that helping you put your own oxygen mask on first before you can go and help others. For being a leader in your family, to choose the things that bring meaning, purpose, and fulfillment in your life. And why? Is because look at the stats, right? Depression, anxiety, suicides, youth suicides. We've even got this thing, Dan, called the Loneliness Epidemic now. It's a real thing. Google it. We know what a pandemic is. We well and truly know what a pandemic is, and that's pretty freaking serious. But an epidemic is close on its heel. It's called the Loneliness Epidemic. It's the adverse effect of social media. 89% of people are what they call disengaged in America as well. So that's 89 at work. So that's 89% of people who go to work every day are not into what they're doing.
Right.
So there's a lot of mental health issues going on right now. And this is our way to help, maybe change the narrative, change the conversation around those statistics, because I don't know, something's broken, right? And those mental health stats, that has a massive effect on families, has a massive effect on kids. And you throw COVID in on top of that, and lockdowns and quarantines and shit. It's like, dude, this is we're in a bad way. Yeah. Let's not sugarcoat it. So this bucket list philosophy is my way, and now our coaches, our way, to give people a framework, to give people tools to see the light at the end of this tunnel, to maybe change this, them being a statistic. Because over the last 10 years of speaking this stuff from stage, I've seen the lights go on for so many people. We've had people come off suicide watch. We've had people who just, one of the things that I'm quoted on the most is people are dying at 40 and being buried at 80.
Right.
People are dying at 40 and being buried at 80. We know so many people that have this midlife crisis. I like this to be a midlife awakening, but they're just existing, not living. They're living by this default, not by, the lights have just gone out. They've got the mortgage, they've got the kids, and they're like, all right.
Yeah.
So the stats don't lie. Yeah. Your podcast is called Switched On, and that's exactly what we're trying to do, is switch people on that life is really, life is really short, and we ain't got much time. There is no perfect time. There is no someday. That ain't a day of the week. So that's the time to start living, living your bucket list, let alone just writing it down but living your bucket list, truly choosing happiness on behalf, do it for your kids. Yeah. Be the kind of parent, be the kind of partner, be the boss or a leader or a friend, but just do it for yourself, and be the kind of person that is, takes ownership over their life, responsibility, accountability, is not a victim to everything, and, blaming the world, using excuses, or in denial. So this has helped so many people over the last few years, over the last 10 years, and it's really cool to see it scaling out now through our coaches too.
Yeah, it's neat. I know in the YouTube, when on your TEDx talk when you put up on the screen the 80 boxes.
Yeah.
And you basically said, you know, half of those boxes for you are already gone. And I know, yeah. I love just the subtleness of that exercise sends a really good message.
So it's not designed to be subtle. It's meant to smash in the face. So the fact of the matter is, you know, like the shit thing about being a speaker, Dan, is you only get, well, in a TED talk, it's only 18 terrifying minutes. I did that TED talk in front of 2,000 people, right? 18 minutes, 4 cameras on me getting filmed, and on a 3x3 red dot. And if you've ever seen me do a keynote presentation, I run around like an idiot. So me being on 3x3 red dot, I was like a caged monkey. And if you watch it closely, you'll know at about 4 minutes, I start to do, I was super nervous. But that was on my bucket list. You know, I ticked it off in front of 2,000 people, which is really cool. The point being is, you know, when you're a speaker, you get a little bit more time. Normally, if I go to a conference, it's 45 minutes, maybe to an hour and a half. And am I going to change someone's life in an hour? Probably not, you know, but you've got to use things like this, and we call it the life grid. You've got to use things like this to wake people the fuck up, you know, like straight up, man. Like you got to shock them. I'm not trying to be a motivational speaker, because that isn't motivational. That's depressing. Yeah. Like this is about reality. And even worse, and just for context too, if you're listening to this, guys, I'm holding up a sheet, you know, a page in my book. It's called the Life Grid. It's 80 squares, a 10x8 grid. And it's basically represents 80 years on Earth, which is the average age of death is 79 for us guys and 83 for girls, right? Let's call it 80. And I get people to cross off, as I did in the TED Talk, cross off the ones that have been alive. So if you're 40, half of those squares on that 80 square grid are gone. Better yet, then I asked 3 questions. So it's already depressing when you're looking down at that 80 squares and half of them are gone. You're going, oh shit, how am I going to live out my next 80? But the fact of the matter is, you don't know when you're going to be knocked off your perch. So to make that matters worse, and just in that TED Talk too, I asked 3 very poignant questions. One, I asked the audience, imagine sitting up on stage and then asking 2,000 people, and I've done it more than 2,000 people, I ask them, all right, does anyone in this audience know anyone who's been diagnosed or died from cancer? And you got like 2,000 people putting up their hand. Yeah. And then I ask them, okay, how many people do you know have been diagnosed or died from cancer? Show of fingers. You know, and you got 2s from the younger people in the audience up to 10s in the older. And so 2,000 people, and then I have everyone look around, have a look at the audience. Everyone's going, you know, like this is full on. And I say, okay, of those people, how many of them made their 80 squares, their 80 years? And then you see sort of fingers and zeros and 1s and 2s maybe come up. And I've done that all around the world for the last 10 years. And I know in that moment I've got their attention. Now I'm not doing it as a show. I'm not doing it to, you know, anything else than getting people to actually wake up and, you know, get switched on right then and there, is to go, all right, guys, this is reality. So when is a good time to start living this bucket list? You know, let's start creating a list. Use my bucket list blueprint framework, and let's start having a crack at this thing, because you just don't know when your time is up. Yeah. No, that's great. It's I know it definitely has me dying to jump in and fill out the rest of my my blueprint. So I love the concept of it. Another thing you had mentioned that I really like the concept of was having an adventurous mind, and coupling that with your blueprint. I'm interested to hear you speak a minute on that. Yeah. I guess an adventurous mind. It's to explain it a little bit further, to go deeper. like this isn't just about ticking a whole bunch of cool stuff off, and it's not just about travel. Travel is only one category. And a lot of people think bucket list is all about travel and going to fucking Machu Picchu and Australia and all that sort of thing. But that shit requires a lot of money and time, right? A lot of money and time. That's why a lot of people don't even write bucket lists, let alone goals, because they think that bucket list is all about travel and expense, and that's it. And you need a lot of resources to make a lot of these things happen. So that's why I created the blueprint, is to help people kind of go north, south, east, west in their own brain and help them extract and articulate a personally meaningful and holistic list, a lot more holistic than just travel. It's a 12-letter acronym, My Bucket List. And what it does allow people to do is identify other things outside travel that they could put on their bucket list, right? So you'll get really low-hanging fruit, things that are really easy to do, and some that I'm doing 5 things at the moment, right? Not right now, but I'm doing 5 things at the moment. And so that cumulative effect, that compounding kind of effect, starting with the small ones that are easy to cross off, gives you the momentum and motivation to smash through the bigger ones. But that's what people need. They need they need to get over the initial inertia to gain some momentum, and that gives them, hope. That gives them the motivation to smash through the bigger ones. So that's the cool thing about how it's helped a lot of people. It gives people that early wins.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
I like go ahead.
Yeah. But this whole bucket list concept is not just about ticking a whole bunch of cool stuff off. It's really about how each person reverse engineers every aspect of their life in order to make this stuff come to fruition. It's really about the growth of you on the journey towards these self-imposed destinations. But more importantly, adventurous life, adventurous mind. It's really about the person that exists on the other side of your bucket list. And that's the person that we don't know yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That's called our potential. And, I wouldn't be a coach if I wasn't passionate about, and you're the same, mate. And that's why you're doing this podcast, is you wouldn't be, I want people to step in and get curious and choose adventure. Get passionate, get obsessed about seeing what you're really made of before your time's up. Experience more of your own potential, because when positive psychology teaches us, when you experience more of your own potential, because part of our innate human behavior is growth. But a lot of people stop growing. They stop being curious. They stop seeking their potential more and more. They go, they get to midlife crisis and they go, oh yeah, that'll do. And then they become a statistic. Yeah. And because what it does is it puts fire in your belly. It puts a smile on your face. And the Dalai Lama said, happiness is the meaning of life, so that's the whole reason behind it, is to help people get curious about how they can have a more adventurous life and to seek it, choose this, deliberately live intentionally. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. It's exciting to hear you talk about it. And we did last year, towards the end of the year, we actually sat down and intentionally designed. We were looking at it and we're going, okay, we want to do a couple sports that we can do together and we can also do for a long time. And so we picked up Frisbee disc golf.
Oh, yeah, nice.
And we picked up tennis.
Yeah.
And it's been great. Neither one of them cost much money, totally accessible. And we're learning 2 new sports and we're having a blast doing it. And it was intentionally designed. So I love when I hear you say that, because I feel the power of it myself.
Yeah. And it's about choosing happiness, really, isn't it? It's about choosing the things that deliberately choosing the things that bring you. And that's the great thing about this book. And when people get a copy, it's designed for you to absolutely abuse. All right. I want to see it absolutely dog-eared and torn apart and notes all through it, because it's designed as a workbook. And what I'm doing is getting people to actually document their bucket list in this, take a photo of it, and then from an accountability point of view, send it to me. So Dan, you're going to be doing that. You're going to be sending me your bucket list as well. And that's how I kick everyone's ass from afar.
Yeah, I know. I love that, and absolutely will do it. You know, another concept that
people want to do some crazy shit, man. Like I should see some of the shit that I've heard.
I can only imagine.
Experienced, and what people want to do and have done over the years, mate. But in the book I say, look, we've got a no judgment zone, but fuck, I could tell you some stories. People really have gone right outside out of their zone.
Yeah. You touched on it a little bit, but you had a great statement in the TED Talk around living by default versus living by design. And so much of what you've been talking about is really living into that live by design mentality. But I really do, we see it everywhere, you know, as I know you're aware, this living by default. It's everything from, I remember graduating college and I just jumped on the conveyor belt of go get a job, just got on that conveyor belt. And once you're on it, it's really hard to get off. You're like, you get all the things, you get the cars, the houses, the families, the next thing you know, you're just buried in it.
Yeah.
So,
and a lot of people, you know, like, and that's all well and good. Some people it just that's complacent with that, and that's totally cool. What I'm not doing here, for those listening and watching, we're not telling you how to live your life here.
Right.
You know, we're not saying you must, you should, you have to, you need to, because that's all programs of, you know, that's all a comparisonitis. It's programs of comparison against maybe my map of the world or Dan's map of the world. So I wouldn't be, it's rude to assume that my way of living is better than anyone else's. It's not. All this is another perspective. And the early check-in is, if you are not happy, if you think you don't have a lot of purpose or meaning, or you're not experiencing a lot of fulfillment in your life, then it's worth having a look at this stuff. You know, it's worth trying on those glasses to see what that perspective offers. It's only another perspective.
Yep.
Right. And the fact is that so many people are on that treadmill in the rat race, that are looking for a way out but don't know how. And it's Groundhog Day. You know, it's routine and it's uninspiring. And again, going back to the statistics, something's fucking broken with the system.
Yeah.
You know, like with this again, we've helped people off suicide watch. We've helped people get off alcohol and drugs. We've helped people just be happier, you know, and for the sake of their families, they've just chosen happiness as a result. And it's long lasting too. It's not just a rah-rah kind of seminar and all right, I leave 8 foot and bulletproof and go back to my shit life. Right. It's and then it dies down. The bucket list concept has seemingly helped a lot of people over the years. It reminds them, and it's a check-in kind of system. And what I've built is a lot of accountabilities as well around it. So we've got a big group on Facebook called Bucketlisters, and I get everyone who's seen the message, who's even seen the TED Talk, seen me present, or read a book, to join that and share their bucket list wins with a like-minded community. Yeah. Sending me their bucket list, making sure there's some accountabilities built in. because people need, like if there's a gap from where you are to where you want to be, you need an accountability partner, whether it's me, or whether it's you, Dan, or whether it's their bucket list buddy or a tribe or community, whatever it is, you need some help on that journey. But maybe I'm just there, right place, right time for a lot of people. But, the light has gone on for a lot of people over the years. It's been really cool. And everyone's, it's, I've been banging the same drum for 10 years and still helping people. So I'm not changing.
No, we need it more than ever.
And it's really has helped people through this whole COVID thing. Like, I'll give you an example. We do a lot of corporate programs, and now we've got remote, because of COVID and everything, a lot of people are working from home, and they've got a lot of remote work teams. And we've been called in we've got a program called the Bucket List Life Plan. It's a 12-hour group coaching program. We do it for teams. And because everyone's working from home, trying to maintain a sense of culture in a company when everyone's working from home is super hard. So we're getting CEOs calling us going, and, HR people, saying, look, we want to do a program online, and we don't want to talk about work. We want to talk about life, because we're actually, we want to, sort of engage everyone, because everyone's looking around at different jobs, and we want to keep them tight. And we're worried about the mental health of some of them. So that's, again, positive psychology really helps mental health. The principles of positive psychology. But this is so it's been really interesting during these times of lockdown, because we're not going back to the old normal, not anytime soon. We're all redefining what our new normal is going to be, and that's exciting and scary as hell at the same time.
So another concept question I like to ask is, if you were to have people walk away with one thing from today's talk, what would that be? I know you've mentioned a lot of things up till now, but just that one core concept.
All right, here's a crazy idea. You know what this is, mate?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a pen. I know it's so analog. It's so like 80s. It's a pen, and this is paper. I know. If you put pen to paper and you write stuff down, all right, I'm being sarcastic. If you write stuff down, you got a 42% more likelihood of it actually manifesting, of it actually showing up. 42. So you're nearly halfway there by just getting shit out of your head and onto paper. But what's easy to do is easy not to do. I want you to separate your bucket list from your daily to-do list, and you do that by consciously writing it down. There's actually stats that prove that if you write stuff down like old school versus typing it into your phone or into a document online, it's more of a consciousness process. You've got to think it through a lot more if you actually write stuff down. Yeah. So I need you to write stuff. I need you to, this is just not bucket list. This is just goals in general, goals, let alone bucket list items. But I want you to write obviously I want you to, buy a book, right? Buy a book, go through the My Bucket List Blueprint, unpack all this shit in your head and get it down onto paper, write it out, write it into the book, take a photo of it, and then at the back there's a link, and you can send it through to me or direct message me on Instagram or one of the socials, and I want to receive your bucket list. I want to see your bucket list, okay? And I want to make you accountable. I want to make everyone accountable. That's what it's all about. And before I became the bucket list guy, I was in the personal fitness training industry for 20 years, and I founded and franchised a chain of personal training studios around Australia, from one client up to tens of thousands of clients, over 2 million personal training sessions. So I can't help but be that accountability guy.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. It's amazing on the statistics on writing stuff down, because I know myself, I much prefer to actually get out pen, write it down. My retention is definitely higher. Yeah. The whole process of it is just so much better.
But also what's easy to do is easy not to do, right? Yeah. And also when we've maybe in the past written stuff down, we've got also fear of success and fear of failure playing into it, because people have maybe written stuff down before where they've disappointed themselves for not achieving that goal. So let's the past is the past, deal with it. Don't let it be your future. Let's write down some fun bucket list things. And when you write down your bucket list, it takes into account SMART goal, the SMART goal principle. But it's very unique, and don't compare yours against someone else's. Just do it, write it out, and send it to me.
Perfect. Well, as we wind down, the last question I ask on my show of everybody is cauliflower moment, where you had a belief about something and you reframed it and you found out some new things or put yourself on a new path. What resonates with you when you say that concept?
Probably the first thing is the fact that I was quite shy growing up, and I've gone through, a bout of depression, and where I've been in a dark place. And it wasn't until because coming out of personal fitness training, and I built a big business, but I had some toxic people in my life. Stuff got on top of me, and I had to transition, kind of out of that business, and then I found myself doing this. But the story goes is that instead of going on heavy antidepressants at that time, because I thought antidepressants was just a Band-Aid effect of, to mask what I was really going, I wanted to get to the root cause of my psychology. I wanted to understand what the hell I was going through, rather than put a Band-Aid over the top of it. So that's when for about a year and a half, I went to every personal development thing that anyone put on, all the courses, coaches, mentors, but I had to force myself because I was in a bad place. And so I learned about positive psychology, NLP, life coaching, Akagi principle, law of attraction, all this sort of stuff. If you put a course on back then, Dan, I would have done it and run to the back of the room and upgraded. And but it wasn't until a friend of mine said, "Hey, Trav, why don't you teach this shit?" at the end of about a year. And that actually helped me compartmentalize what I was going through, and it also justified the amount of money I spent. So I actually put on a talk. I summed up the courage, and I was shit scared, but I summed up the courage to put a 3-hour public talk on. I had 40 people come along, and I started sharing about halfway through. I started sharing the fact that since I was 18, this is only 10 years ago, but since I was 18, and I'm 47 now, that I'd had a list to do before I die, actually written down since I was 18, before it was even a bucket list. So I started sharing this. It inspired the group at my first seminar. And then Joe, one of the participants, said at the end, "How's all this list to do before you die stuff? It's really fired everyone up. Got people really thinking. It's like a bucket list. You're like the bucket list guy." I went, light bulb moment, went home and registered the bucketlistguy.com, and I've been doing that ever since.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great.
And and I've literally traveled around the world doing my bucket list. People pay me to speak about it, but more importantly, we've helped hundreds of thousands of people, and we're on a mission now, scaling out through our coaches to, and it's been a reflection of my values, which is your internal rule book, and it's so look for the signposts. I think that's the cauliflower kind of moment. Look for the signpost, and if you've got a story within you, because we all have. I say this to a lot of wannabe speakers and coaches. If you've got a story, like a tragedy to triumph kind of story, be vulnerable, be brave, be courageous, but tell it, because the learnings that you can extract and then teach others with, there's a whole bunch of people out there that really, really need to hear the richness of your story. You need to extract it. You need to get it out. You need to do a book or a program or whatever it is, a blog post, a video, whatever it is. But how dare you die with that story within you and those learnings within you? You need to get it out of you, and you need to go and help others with it.
Beautiful. Well, awesome. How can people connect with you after the show today?
Instagram, bucketlistguy.Trav Bell. Yeah, I think, what is it? How many social media things we got these days?
I know the list just keeps
I think it's Trav Bell the Bucket List Guy. If you put in the Bucket List Guy, you'll find me in LinkedIn and Facebook. But I do want people to buy a book. Go to the bucketlistguy.com/book. Grab yourself a book. I'll sign it. We've got a bunch more to send out. I would literally it's just been released. That is the best guide. So go and grab yourself a copy there, and then more importantly, I want you to send me your bucket list. And the weirder, the better.
Beautiful. Well, I know I'll do it, and I'll put your contact info in the show notes for everybody as well.
Cool, Dan.
Appreciate your time today. It was great getting to know you, and I love the concept.
All right. Thanks, mate. Cheers.